just like that, I'm back and better than ever. What's poppin', everybody? Welcome to the 3D. 3D. I am Drew Dickinson Jr. Thank you all for listening wherever yous may be. Look, I know it's been a while. I also understand that we're right in the middle of World Cup final hysteria. What a summer it's been. Real quick shout out to Atlanta, the city of Atlanta. Everyone did such an amazing job from the top to the bottom. Again, big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for everything you did for us these past few weeks. But believe it or not, my beloved Manchester United and the 2026-2027 Premier League season is right around the corner. Wow. And believe it or not, we are about 90 minutes away from the first preseason game for Manchester United as they go to Finland to take on Wrexham. But we'll get to that as we venture on through this podcast. But right back to it. As we already know, Michael Carrick replaced Ruben Amorim mid-season, and that switch helped United finish third place in the Premier League, and it also helped them earn a Champions League bid for the first time since Erik ten Hag was at the helm. You know, nothing different, an up and down season for the Reds, but there were a couple of high spots that I'd like to mention. First, I guess you could call it high, but it's really a low spot. The exit of Casemiro. The locker room's going to feel it. Michael Carrick will sure feel it. Old Trafford is going to feel it. Just one of those things, you know. He played. There was a little piece, a clause in his contract that if he was to start the remainder of said games, it would automatically trigger another year on his contract. Well, he decided to not do that. He officially leaves Manchester United after lifting a couple of trophies for us, FA Cup and a Moose Cup trophy. 160 appearances for the Brazilian captain, made his club or joined the club in the summer of 2022. Like I said, 160 appearances, 26 goals, 14 assists, and 4 red cards. We'll just leave it at that. Thank you, Casemiro, so much for everything you did for the club. Enjoy the MLS and enjoy Inter Miami. But look, we all can agree the major highlight of the 2025-2026 season was Bruno Fernandes breaking the single-season Premier League assist record with 21 assists, also adding 9 goals and 35 appearances, combined with the Premier League Player of the Season accolade. It's safe to say, after an earlier-than-expected exit from this summer's World Cup, Bruno, the Manchester United skipper, is gearing up for yet another incredible season for Manchester United in the Premier League. And don't forget, Champions League is back. But if I'm honest, this particular podcast that I'm jumping on, this episode of the 3D is really just going to concentrate over the last month or so transfer rumblings, okay? It's time to talk transfers. Obviously, the window's been open. United have been busy. We'll break that down and we'll get into it here in a moment. But the new hierarchy at United, easy for me to say, they've insisted no more overpaying, no more massive wages. Players they want to get over the line, which I just love. And you'll hear me say this over and over again, which I'm sure you have before. They want players over the line that are players that want to be at Manchester United, i.e. Matheus Cunha, Brian Mbeumo, Benjamin Sesko, Bruno Fernandes. The list just keeps going on and on and on. Here's the big question, though. Will they stick to their guns? All right, let's get into it. With Casemiro moving on, obviously the biggest need for United is going to be his replacement. That central defensive midfield role, and obviously the continued growth of Kobbie Mainoo is key. Finding a suitable partner alongside him, Bruno, very, very important for Manchester United to get this right. But real quick, side note, Kobbie Mainoo, who is yet to appear for Thomas Tuchel's England squad at this summer's World Cup. Look, guys, whether you like it or you dislike it, would I have liked Kobe to get some minutes in? Of course, you can see the midfield crying for his control, but that's neither here nor there. The biggest, here goes that term again. The high spot, I guess you could say, out of the World Cup is that Kobe Mainoo is going to come back to Old Trafford, come back to Carrington, fully fit, and a massive fucking chip on his shoulder. And guys, I can tell you right now, that's going to be scary for the competition. Okay. All right. Now we'll get back into it. So, and another one, of course, if healthy, Mason Mount's going to be a big part of this Michael Carrick project. Manuel Ugarte tore his ACL for Uruguay this summer in the World Cup, which opens up room for the aforementioned to shine, whether it's Mason Mount, Bruno, Kobe Mainoo, or the new signings, which we'll get to here in just a moment. It's all up in the air. I mean, if Mainoo comes out this upcoming season playing the way that he ended last season, and again with that chip on his shoulder, the sky is the limit for this kid because he's still so damn young. But again, that number 6 spot, that central defensive midfielder, that destroyer, if you will, very, very key. Now, United have had a short list of players that they believe are perfect for that position. I'm going to break it down for you guys right now. So stick with me. Alex Scott, the English international, plays for Bournemouth in the Premier League. Bournemouth, they have qualified for Europa League. They don't need to sell. Therefore, the asking price, you can imagine, is going to be pretty unrealistic. But Alex Scott, so far for United, hasn't been ruled out, but I'd say more of a, 70-30 chance for him to come to Old Trafford, 70 being in the nay portion of the percentage. Now, another one, Adam Wharton, big-time player for Crystal Palace. He was on United's radar last year alongside Carlos Baliba. Crystal Palace, they have qualified for Europa League. They won the Conference League this past season, which automatically shoots them into Europa League competition. They don't need to sell. Again, another unrealistic asking price. I think one time I read $100 million for Adam Wharton, but just like Alex Scott, can't really, push him to the side quite yet. Haven't heard much rumblings about Adam Wharton in, a good bit. I think the chances of Alex Scott coming to Manchester United are far greater than the chances of Adam Wharton. Looks like he is going to stay at Crystal Palace, who I believe will be welcoming a new manager. Don't quote me on that, but I do believe that's correct. Now, moving down the list, the number 1 target on said list, according to sources, and my sources are the great David Ornstein for NBC and The Athletic, and of course, Fabrizio Romano. But for me, I tend to lean a little bit more towards David Ornstein, but to each their own. Both great journos in their own right. But now, number 1 on that list was another English midfielder, Elliot Anderson. Elliot Anderson, who at the time was property of Nottingham Forest. Forest, look, guys, they immediately set the bar really, really high, and they had every right to. Anderson, they set the bar really, really high, meaning, they wanted to break the English Premier League transfer record that was previously held by Arsenal and Declan Rice. So they demand somewhere between, the range of 100 million, 120 million. They want this, like I said, they want the same, if not more, than what Arsenal paid for Declan Rice. So after weeks of courting, Elliot Anderson made his feelings very, very clear. He only wants Manchester City. Now, with the clarity coming out of that, meaning his decision where he wants to be, United backed away. Look, guys, you can get all up in arms. Oh, they should have did this. They should have broke the bank for that. Oh, come on, blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is the same group of people that got upset when United spent $100 million on Antony. Now, granted, they shouldn't have done that. One of the biggest busts in the history of the Premier League. But like I said, guys, United, they're keeping everything close to the vest. They're not going to overspend on someone who, quite honestly, really isn't proven yet. You know, Declan Rice built his aura over years and years and years at West Ham and earned his transfer. And I'm not saying Anderson didn't earn it, but look, there's not much there yet. With that being said, like I said, United backed away. No sense in breaking the bank on a player, guys, that doesn't want to be here. Manchester City do indeed break the British transfer record, paying close to £116 million for Elliot Anderson. And he is officially now on the blue side of Manchester. Look, again, I've said it just a few moments ago. I love this from Manchester United because we've seen players before come in here for big money and have very little appreciation of what it means to wear that badge, or just big money and only came here for money. You know, one of the biggest ones that I can think of, Angel Di Maria. He didn't want to be here. It just sets you back in time, sets you back to where you really want to be. You want positivity. You want the locker room to remain fresh. And, you know, someone like Elliot Anderson, not saying, you know, if United put the money up, you know, or outbid Manchester City, well, he could have had a choice to say, no, I don't want to come here. And then it could just start a whole nother can of worms. So big shout out to United for walking away and not acquiring the services of Elliot Anderson. He's going to go to Manchester City, and we know he will do big things. So we're going to move right along to another player on said list, Matheus Fernandes. As soon as, you know, the official word came out of Nottingham Forest that Elliot Anderson only wanted Manchester City, Manchester United then switched their focus on the West Ham central defensive midfielder, 22-year-old Matheus Fernandes, young Portuguese midfielder, actively being courted by Bruno Fernandes to come to Manchester United. But here it is. Matheus Fernandes, he employs the super agent Jorge Mendes. Mendes now, if you don't know, guys, very, very, very good at what he does. And he knows that the higher transfer fee, the more money he pockets. West Ham, relegated team, mind you, come with an outlandish asking price of £85 million. Now, if you're keeping up, that's now two teams Matheus Fernandes has been a part of. One, Southampton relegated, and this past season, West Ham relegated. Now, you kind of scratch your head, you know, a serial relegator for £85 million? Look, I'm going to defend United here because there are reporters that came out earlier in the window that said, Fernandes wants United. Great. Then all of a sudden, Tottenham Hotspur entered the conversation. Their new manager, Roberto De Zerbi, who kept them up last year after that hellacious relegation scare for Tottenham. De Zerbi, guys, very ambitious, seemingly gets the ear of Fernandes and Jorge Mendes, and boom, both clubs, Spurs and Hammers, agree to an £85 million deal for Fernandes. Again, if you're keeping up, that's now 3 players on the short list, including United's top 2 realistic targets. Now, guys, boom, off the board. But again, big shout out to the Manchester United hierarchy for walking away. £85 million for an unproven player. Look, the upside's probably great, but, you know, haven't seen much upside because he can't keep a team in the Premier League. Now, I don't want to throw too much shade on him because he is just 22, but facts are facts. And another bit of honesty for me, did I want Fernandes to come to United? Of course. You know, but United kind of, you know, they saw more of a $50 to $60 million price range, not £85 million, which is just is crazy for somebody, again, who hasn't really shown much. Like I said, potential is there, but you don't want to pay $100 million on potential. So again, 3 players on the short list, your top 2 off the board. Moving on. Now here's a good one. I've heard this from more than one source. Tchouaméni, considered the dream replacement for Casemiro. For me, Elliot Anderson would have been first choice. Like at the end of the season, when everything was just kind of, it was 50-50 whether or not where he was going to go, what the decision was going to be, who he wanted, and you come out and you hear, like I said at the beginning of the show, Anderson wanted Manchester City. So that turned my cheek to Matheus Fernandes, who I said openly has said he wanted Manchester United. Not sure what happened other than Jorge Mendes getting in there and making it known that he wants more money. Give me more money. Anyways, Tchouaméni, dream replacement for Casemiro. Remember, Real Madrid just brought in a brand new manager, the special one, Jose Mourinho. And after some chatter going around about Tchouaméni being the dream target for United, United only willing to go all out for him, Tchouaméni looks down at his phone, and there's a phone call from the special one, Jose Mourinho, and there you go. Convinces the French midfielder to sign a new deal at Real Madrid. Done and dusted Tchouaméni. Unless something drastic happens, he will be staying in France. Another one you've heard, I think just because he's a teammate of Tchouaméni at Real Madrid, Eduardo Camavinga. He's, according to sources out of Spain, if there was going to be anybody Madrid would sell, it'd be Camavinga, who really hasn't, found his footing at Madrid. I mean, he's a CDM, a number 6, but you've seen him play fullback. You've seen him play, obviously, in the midfield. You've seen him play on the wing. A very good player, a very sound player, still has a lot more to prove, but I would assume an asking price for Camavinga will be extremely high. Again, not too sure that's a route Manchester United wanted to go. Moving on down the list, Sandro Tonali, the Newcastle, I don't know what you would call him. I don't want to say the Newcastle number 1, the Newcastle, stud. All I know is that Roberto De Zerbi got another one for Spurs. They were able to reach a £100 million deal with the Magpies for the 26-year-old Italian Sandro Tonali in the same damn week as they closed the deal for Matheus Fernandes from West Ham. So, Sandro Tonali, 26 years old, £100 million, one bet away from a lifetime ban, and a guy who has had his greedy hands in the gambling world more than once. £100 million. Now, complete honesty for me, Sandro Tonali, Matheus Fernandes, Elliot Anderson, all 3 on the list of players that I would have loved for United to sign. I'm just not sure £100 million is really, the deal that United would have gone for somebody like Sandro Tonali. Again, just like Bournemouth and Alex Scott, Newcastle, they necessarily didn't need to sell. They still have Bruno G, who, mind you, he asked out. He said he only wants to go to Arsenal. That kind of has been stagnant since that quote-unquote report came out. So I'm not too sure how much water that holds. But as far as Sandro Tonali goes, man, I think that would have been so much fun with Tonali, Kobe Mainu, and Bruno Fernandes. Just, again, about the gambling stuff, can you trust him? Can you trust him in a United shirt? I don't know. I think United dodged yet another bullet with not spending £100 million on the Italian 26-year-old Sandro Tonali. Moving down the list, here's one that everybody should be familiar with. Carlos Baleba. Remember, he was very keen on joining United last summer, but that $100 million price tag Brighton displayed was just too high. Believe it, again, very keen on the move to United last summer. Not happy about the price tag himself. Look, United, us fans, and even Baliba wasn't happy about it and made it known. And you could see it. It really affected him, guys. His form completely dropped after that. Hooked at halftime many times. Other times didn't even start. Heck, sometimes he didn't even get off the bench. So you ask a question again about, just like you did with Sandro Tonali, did United dodge a bullet? Or if so, if Baliba does get over the line, can Michael Carrick get that superstar back to his 2024 form? Just got to wait and see the direction that this club goes, guys, very quickly. He could slot in and be that destroyer. But what's the price tag going to be from Brighton? Again, that is key because United holding their stance, not going to overspend. And if they do overspend, it's going to be on a dream move or someone that wants to wear the red shirt. Moving on. A lot of you remember very, very quickly after the season ended, United struck a very quick deal with Italian club Atalanta and the Brazilian midfielder Ederson for £45 million. Good business, yeah? 26 years old, be 27 soon. Certainly not the sexy signing you were hoping for. Remember, we had Matheus Cunha wrapped up in saran wrap and shipped off to Old Trafford very, very quickly. But, like I said, not the sexy signing that we were hoping for, but a very, very proper squad player. Now, you want to talk about business really picking up. Let's talk about the last 10 days for Manchester United. Now, before we move on, keep this Ederson deal in the back of your head because things happened that just were so unexpected in the last 10 days. 2 midfield signings, guys, quite frankly, out of freaking nowhere. First, another Brazilian, 22-year-old Andre Santos, coming over from Chelsea. This kid spent the 2024-2025 season on loan at Strasbourg. Brought back to Chelsea last season, where, mostly a squad player. I said this to a few of my buddies, who were, we brought over a Chelsea squad player. I mean, and I said at the beginning too, just because I hadn't done my research too much to see. But upon my research, guys, well, obviously we knew this. What coach is going to play a 22-year-old unproven when you've got Moises Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez in the team? It's not, I don't care how good you are or what kind of young stud you are. You're not getting in a team with those two in front of you, okay? Let's break down the numbers here for Santos' move to United. So it was a transfer fee of around £50 million. The deal includes a guaranteed £48 million to Chelsea and $2 million in potential add-ons. The transfer obviously finalized earlier this month. Santos signed a 5-year deal with United, keeping him at Old Trafford until 2031. The agreement also includes a 10% sell-on clause for Chelsea. Now, don't you guys sit here and listen to the negative clickbait journos who don't know shit. This is great business for Ineos and Manchester United. Guys, look, Premier League proven, Champions League proven, and here's this phrase that I love. He wanted the United move. Oh, and real quick, he's only on $75K a week, which is actually a $10,000 upgrade from his $65K a week while at Chelsea. So take that how you want, but I love this signing. He could play the 6. He could play the 8. I think this could be really good potential for Manchester United because the sky is the limit with this kid. But if you think the Santos signing was completely out of nowhere, days later, You see Aston Villa hijack the Johan Manzambi move to Newcastle. The 20-year-old Swiss midfielder came over from Freiburg and will be among Aston Villa's record signing. I believe it was £60 million. They locked in the deal to bring over the Swiss 20-year-old from Freiburg. Now, with that being said, within about 24 hours of Romano reporting that Villa hijacked Johan from Newcastle, Yuri Tillemans, the Belgian captain, the Aston Villa midfielder, he has a £35 million release clause, which I can't believe this is real. United pounced on. They immediately activated the release clause for Yuri Tillemans. Boom! Second signing of the summer. And it's safe to say, Aston Villa, they didn't want to sell. They did not want to sell. Even offered Tillemans a new deal. But as Tillemans said, and I quote, "When Man United come a-calling, you answer." Couldn't agree with you more, Yuri. Tillemans, with respect to Aston Villa and Unai Emery, he made them aware of his decision. And of course, Emery sad, but understood the choice, just like Santos, only a bit more. Yuri is Premier League proven. Oh, and he's a freaking Europa League winner, guys. Not to mention the Belgian captain, plenty of World Cup experience, another fantastic signing for Manchester United and Michael Carrick. Super stoked about this. Now, Santos over the line, Tillemans over the line. Remember that Ederson signing? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to rewind back to that. After further medical reviews, this time United were able to get Ederson from the World Cup to Carrington. That's where the United doctors, results show that meniscus he injured last season, guys, it's just not freshly healed. Atalanta would want you to think something different, but remember, they sold us dirty goods a few seasons ago when Rasmus Højlund came in injured. And I just think it's a little sneaky trying to sell while hiding injuries. With that being said, the deal off. Ederson back to Atalanta, back to Italy with a new contract. Crazy, right? I think, we've been talking about good business, talking about, great signings. Another good piece of business for United, especially with bringing in Tillemans and bringing in Santos, who is younger than Ederson. I'm, again, very, very happy that the hierarchy was able to revisit this, find that little tweak that they needed to find, and send Ederson back to Italy. Now, United still haven't signed that quote-unquote destroyer, the box-to-box midfielder or defensive midfielder I've been talking about. But if you do believe reports, one more big signing is on the way. Now, is it going to be Carlos Baleba or a shock transfer for Enzo Fernandez? Yeah, that's right. You heard me. Reports came out just a few days ago. Again, I'm unsure of the credibility, but a few little leaks coming out of Carrington that United are in for a shock transfer for Enzo Fernandez. I don't believe that for a second. Look, guys, exciting weeks ahead. We're going to wrap up this transfer chatter, but I just have a few more quick notes here for everyone. United signed former Leeds backup and Welsh goalkeeper Carl Darlow. He is on a free. He comes and joins Lamens and Tom Heaton as the Manchester United goalkeepers. Napoli officially signed Rasmus Højlund on a permanent deal that gets just a little pesky £44 million kickback to United. The transfer was an obligation to buy, the obligation to buy clause was triggered by Napoli qualifying for Champions League next season. Thanks, Rasmus. Keep killing it with Scotty in Italy. Big one right here, guys. Barcelona chose not to trigger the £30 million buy-on clause for Marcus Rashford. Just a couple of days ago, David Ornstein says, and I quote, Marcus Rashford's £40 million exit clause at United expired July 15th. Any club wishing to sign the forward now must negotiate a transfer fee directly with United, where he is contracted. Marcus Rashford, is contracted until 2028. Ornstein also reported that Marcus has turned down multiple transfer proposals this summer, some including offers with higher wages than his current deal at United, which I believe is like $325K a week. Other clubs reportedly considered potential approaches for the English international. Rashford has rejected them in pursuit of winning major honors with his boyhood club. Now, it's no secret that him and Kobe Manu are my favorite players. Marcus is one of my all-time favorite United players. I just absolutely love the kid. So, of course, I'm absolutely freaking buzzing about his potential to come back to United. I read today that Michael Carrick wants to see him on the training pitch. Marcus is due back as soon as his break is over. I mean, hell, I think he's in Miami today for the fourth place match I don't think I know. So there's no telling when he'll be back on the pitch, but his return to Carrington is imminent. Big things ahead with Marcus Rashford. Will he stay? Will he go? Of course, I'll keep you guys updated on that. Real quick, because this doesn't need anything more than just a little sentence that I'm going to say. Jadon Sancho, free agent. Thank freaking God. Bye-bye. What a weird situation that was for United. Mason Greenwood leaves Olympique Marseille, heads to Fenerbahce. Just another little £10 million kickback to United. They chose not to activate the buyback clause. So Mason Greenwood's career at United, which we all thought officially over. Just like the transfer chatter, we're done with it. I know it was a lot, but I felt that I needed to come on here and give you guys an explanation of what's been happening at United, because I know with all the World Cup hysteria, things have kind of gotten put on the back burner with transfers. And I mean, hell, Ornstein and Fabrizio are over here in America traveling. I know Ornstein's traveling with the England squad. I believe he's still in Miami. So kind of not, how do I say this without repeating myself? It was just something that needed to be done. It's been a while. The season is right around the corner, and it's been leave it up to Man United to have almost two handfuls of players for just one position that are on a short list. And obviously there's more positions in need for United, whether it's left back, left wing, but maybe the left wing spot is going to be solved with Rashford coming back. But we'll get into that on another episode. But before I get out of here, let's talk real quick about the Wrexham match today in Helsinki, Finland. First preseason match of the year. Let me read you guys the traveling squad who will face Wrexham today. Dermot Mee, Radek Vitek, and Tom Heaton, three goalkeepers traveling. Harry Maguire, Patrick Dorgu, Lenny Yoro, Luke Shaw, Aiden Heaven, Harry Amos, Jaden Kamason, and Dan Armour. Your defenders traveling. Mason Mount, Andre Santos may get a debut today. Jack Fletcher, Tyler Fletcher, Toby Collier, Dan Gore, Jacob Devaney, and Jim Thwaites. Those are your midfielders. And up top, traveling to Finland with United, Joshua Zirkzee, Brian Mbumo, Cheeto Obi. Excited to see what Cheeto can do this year. Ethan Wheatley, Shea Lacey, and Ethan Williams. Two names that cause a little concern for me. The major one, still no Matthias de Ligt. He underwent back surgery not too long ago after the season ended. He tried to rehab the injury, tried, and things just did not progress the way that he nor the medical staff at Carrington wanted. So he went under the knife, had surgery. Honestly, guys, have not heard a peep about it since, he posted a photo of him going under the knife. And another name who is not traveling with United, that's Benjamin Šeško. Remember, he got hurt in the last game of the season when he came down, or the last home game of the season when outside, behind the goals and on the sideline, United have that hill. Šeško was kind of tossed down that hill, hurt his shin. He is not with the squad. Let's hope that's just for precaution. Really no need to stir up any sort of lingering injury, especially if someone's not 100% healthy. United, Wrexham kickoff in about 53 minutes. It's 10:07 Eastern time here in Atlanta on Saturday morning. Looking forward to it. Not, guys, don't expect anything. Don't expect Carrick to have a masterclass with this squad and it being the first preseason game. Go in with low expectations, but with high excitement because we are back, baby. We are back. Wow. Been a while since I've been on here with you guys, and I cannot thank you enough for sticking with me. Got such an exciting season coming up for United. Champions League is back Tuesday night, and Wednesday night football is back. Michael Carrick's first full year. Yuri Tielemans, Andre Santos already over the line. Still more to come in this transfer window. Guys, I hope you enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the Open. Enjoy the third, fourth place game today. We've got Spain and Argentina in the final tomorrow. Lamine Yamal, Lionel Messi, a showdown of the past versus the future. Don't tell Messi I said that. What a clash it's going to be. Really looking forward to that. I'll jump on next week and we'll talk a little bit more about preseason, maybe some more signings that got over the line. Who knows? But again, thank you guys so much for listening. Real quick, if you're not, go ahead and follow Soccer Down Here wherever you get your podcasts. Click on the alert button. That way, each and every time a show is dropped, you get a little doot on your iPhone or whatever phone you have, and it'll let you jump in and listen to the Morning Espresso, the 3D. You can listen to SDH in the AM with the incomparable John Nelson. Either way, you can enjoy myself, Matty Cruz, Jason Longshore, and John Nelson anytime you please. Just take Soccer Down Here along with you. This is the 3D. 3D. I am Drew Dickinson Jr. again. Thank you guys so much. Have an incredible weekend. Drewski out.